I've been thinking a little more about Project 2025 and AI and algorithms and whatever you want to call it. So, like, I really believe that Project 2025 and what the Republicans are doing right now is basically a late night evidence shredding project. And, you know, I really think what this is all about, what's going on in the world right now with the rights, the conservative Republicans, and I really think they're using the Christians to get what they want. Um, is that all we have the hardware now to process data differently than we have in the past, and it's like, so you get all this footage or video of people talking or whatever, and like an algorithm will be able to tell if someone's lying and when they're telling the truth. And the things that used to fly in the world are no longer going to fly in the world. I mean, drugs being sold, illegal trade. If we have some of the infrastructure out there right now, it needs to be plugged into processing things that can process data for algorithms, and then add more to it. And illegal trade, drugs, like if it's not supposed to be somewhere, if it's an illegal drug, it won't be around. It just won't. And like people speeding in the transition to automated cars in the future, people speeding, it won't happen anymore. And it's the guy that doesn't want someone to be able to get some footage of him, cheating on his wife from some system, and blackmail him or whatever, and it's just like, I think what I'm basically saying is, I think the state of the conservative Republicans and what they're doing is because they're no longer going to be able to get away with what they were. Project 2025 wants to disassemble Noah. Sell it off or sell the whole thing off, and destroy all the data that it's collected, or sell the data and make it private, so, that basically would have to go through courts to try and get it, and then it would probably all magically disappear. Because, the CO2 pattern flows on the globe and what's affecting what. We have the hardware now to process freaking 20 years of data on all the things that we've had. They're not going to get away with making trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars for years, and all the damage that's happening to the planet. And the conservative Republicans around the world are doing what they're doing. I really believe, and no one's going to convince me of anything else because it's just what I believe, it's a late night evidence shredding project. And to overthrow the governments of the world, America, wherever they're trying, wherever, and so that they don't get in trouble, and they would have absolute power if they succeed in what they're doing. And it's just, it is absurd to even the thought of what's happening right now. Military data. Man, I watched a program in like 1995 or 6, I think it was. Maybe it was earlier, I don't know. But it was about, the military's got these satellites and they're recording all this data. And the guy literally said in the video, he's like, the military has data that can incarcerate people, but it is not allowed to be used against its citizens. He clearly stated that. And they've been collecting it for what, 30 years now? You don't need a high resolution image from space to track someone. And even if there are 20 cars that leave a place, listen, you track the patterns of all the different cars over a 30-year period, and let me tell you what, dude, with an algorithm going through all that data, you're going to know who's been doing what, and who's been going where, and how shit happened in certain places with this person or these people. Riding away in 20 cars is not going to do it. You got to understand, I understand that the infrastructure for monitoring that was small, like in 1995. But the thing is, dude, they've got 30 years of pixels moving around, colored pixels. You know, and you take all that data and you're gonna find out who's who and who's going where and what's happening in the places where they go. And they're all scared shitless. You know, like if that data is turned over, dude, hate crimes, freaking all kinds of crimes, all of a sudden police will have access to that data. And you know what? If they're gonna let the military's data be used against its citizens, then well, you might as well just throw statute of limitations out the window, which always seems to get people off. You know, I've talked to 4 lawyers about shit that's happened to me, and I always talk to them like something else will happen, and then I'll talk to them. They always tell me, you know, you have a case, but it's not something we deal with. They tell me to call the board and give me their number or whatever. I'm like, at that point, I'm not even interested in that bullshit, you know? And it's just like the military data could lock a lot of people up, and it's not allowed to be used against its citizens. The thing is Project 2025 and what the conservative Republicans all over the place are doing, dude, they've been making deals, they've been going places. So listen, here, I'll try and explain it this way. So you've got a weapons manufacturer, and he travels to this place, and there's 15, 20 people that meet there. And then they all go off in different directions, and he goes back, and then they go off. With the 30 years of data that's been collected, you're not just trying to figure out where a person went. No, you're taking the 30 years of data and figuring out what they did over that 30 years and where they went. And the thing is with an algorithm, you know, you get a year's data. You know, you can see so much. But you take 30 years and when people are being careless, and the truth is they don't know what satellites are up there watching them or whatever, so they really don't know. In Project 2025, Trump, Republicans all over the world are scared shitless, dude, because of their complicities, and their complicities based on complacency, which money is nothing more than a way for a person to externalize their effort onto someone else unfairly. It leads to them committing crimes to get more money. And the thing is 30 years of that data has been building up, man. Dude, you want to know who's responsible for what just based on where everybody's been traveling over the past 30 years, and we got the hardware now to basically decrypt all that and just have an algorithm plow through it, you know, our hardware plow through it in an algorithm. They're scared shitless. They literally are scared shitless, dude. You see, they're warmongering, the industrial war complex and all this shit, them wanting to give Israel weapons, and how Israel basically, dude, I don't understand how Israel is now Nazis. I really don't understand that, dude. They literally look at the Palestinians, and then I hear a Fox News host say some genocidal shit, and she disappears for a month. I didn't see her, you know, and comes back on after a while, and you know, it's just, you know, it's very easy to see. I guess apparently we're going to have to deal with the Nazis rearing their ugly head every once in a while, or a fascist, whatever you want to call them. And I'll say this about what Nazi Germany, they were monitoring people. They would take dials and they made devices where they could put a putty and a microphone on a pipe, and they could hear certain levels up through the pipes on different floors. And they had half their country watching the other half of the country. Yeah, it happened. And the thing is, you don't need that anymore, man. Algorithms, GPUs, TPUs, and what NPUs, whatever they've got, dude, they are scared shitless. All of a sudden, the last 30 years of data that's been collected by God knows who, the military agencies around the world, and now we got the hardware and the software to plow through it and point the finger at them and say, dude, you were responsible for this shit. Fucking all these people died, you know, and they don't want to be responsible. Just like, you know, black people, what happened to them and how the Dutch, through affirmative action, can't get jobs in Africa that were rounded up slaves, their descendants. And people over here at this time are saying, well, go back to where you came from. You know what? The Dutch descendants of slave owners and catchers are stuck in Africa and pissed and upset about it. And they can't get out. And white people in America are telling black people and everyone else, well, you don't like it, go back to where you came from. You know, that's an example of Republicans starting some shit and then complaining about it. It is nothing more than that. And I'm going to wrap this video up by saying that, like, the Republicans, the conservatives, they have gotten plumb absurd and stupid. I mean, you know, it's ridiculous. What's going to happen next? Fox is going to put on their websites and stuff entertainment. So we said it was entertainment. You know what? I'm from the 90s. I understand what the term for entertainment purposes only means. And what's Fox going to put that shit up on their stuff and say, oh, we said entertainment. Meanwhile, they're causing the frickin' destruction of the frickin' world by denying what we're doing with fossil fuels and what they're doing to overthrow our government and participating in it. I watched 3 weeks of news because I was ready to just annihilate myself from the time I got up to the time I went to bed. And 2 weeks after I did it, at that point I became tuned in. I'd watched enough to sit there and watch Fox. Real-time hypocrisy. Like I didn't even think real-time hypocrisy could even exist, but it does on Fox News. They're fucking scared. It's over for them. It's either overthrow the government and overthrow the world to get away with what they did, or have consequences for it. And they don't want the consequences. There is data, military data, that cannot be used against its citizens right now that could put a lot of people and incriminate a lot of rich politicians, wealthy people who are involved in lots of stuff. And I'm going to say this too. They're going on about controlling the price of food. Around 2005, I sat there and watched the news. Republicans were trying to take the breakfast lunch out of schools in Orlando. I sat there and watched it. You know, my dad told me if I ate the lunch that they provided at school, he'd beat the shit out of me when I got home. I would have loved to have been able to eat that. I sat there and walked in the lunchroom every morning before school and looked at him eating. You know, I got rid of my granola. I don't know how a mason jar with the lid on it has cockroach legs and wings scattered through it. But mine always did, and I stopped eating breakfast and getting rid of it. And then got my ass beat when they found out where it was. And every day I wanted to eat that. Things were so bad at my house, for me, that my principal started buying me lunch and told me eat the breakfast stuff that my Republican father told me he'd beat me if I ate. You know, taking food away from kids. Sit there, I'm watching Fox News right now go on about controlling food, and I saw someone say, even if it does work, it would be a bad idea. It would be horrible. It's like, you know, y'all are just, you know, you Republican conservatives are abusive, you belittle people, and apparently you don't even want to let kids eat at school or let people be able to afford food by someone controlling the prices, so y'all can't do the shit you're doing, feeding us the poison you're feeding us. Fructose corn syrup, allowing that shit with, I know this is an exaggeration, 30 names and changing it every so often. Y'all are full of shit. And you know what? What it comes down to is the right party going to succeed, which definitely ain't conservative Republicans anywhere on the globe. And y'all are going to have some consequences because the hardware's here now. Or y'all are going to do what you're going to do to try and stop from having consequences. You know what? Really, the ball ain't in y'all's court yet. You don't know if you're going to get away with your complicities against the human species yet. You don't know yet.